Unafraid Show. It's your boy George Reister. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy. Want to talk a little bit about these Kavanaugh hearings. They're at lunch recess right now, and I wanted to know where you guys stood on this, and I was going to tell you guys where I was at with a lot of this. Because first and foremost, you know, there were so many questions about Dr. Ford, whether she got raped, whether this was believable, any of this. Here's what I got as the takeaways. You guys make sure you guys send in your comments. I will get to those as well. First of all, this lady obviously, she got sexually assaulted. She did at some point in time, regardless of whether you think Kavanaugh did it or whether some mystery men did it. She got sexually assaulted. There's no way in hell that she could have known from 2012 when she went to a therapy session to talk about a sexual assault that happened with her. And then fast forward 6 years later at a party that she was at, Kavanaugh so happened to be at. It doesn't make sense. Like, there's no way that this lady would just, there's no way that it could have been that calculated. It's literally impossible for it to be that calculated. So I say that there needs to be, at the very least, there has to be an investigation. I mean, why would there not be an FBI investigation? Like, this lady, at least, she got sexually assaulted. And then you have these mystery two men that have said that they did it. Okay, cool. There's no statute of limitations in Maryland about sexual assault, rape, any of that. So those two men who allegedly confessed, then they should be prosecuted, right? That makes sense. Like, why would you just let somebody just run around freely? Doesn't make sense. And then the other thing is, there's so many people that are saying that this is about Roe versus Wade. But in reality, this should be a bipartisan issue. Like, the Supreme Court is the highest court. They determine our laws. They determine our rights. They determine so many things. So why on earth wouldn't we want the people with the highest character there? So if your character is in question, you should automatically be discounted, taken away. You should not be able to be on the Supreme Court. There's nothing else to talk about. Like, the idea of that was so long ago crowd. Okay, so the kid out in Stanford, right, who got accused of rape and convicted, and he did 3 months in jail. If he then wants to become a Supreme Court nominee, is that cool? Because it was so long ago? No, so long ago doesn't discount that. Yes, after you serve the consequences for your actions, whether it's legally or however your consequences come, you should be able to go on, live a good life. If you've changed your life, all of that, have great things out in the world. But the problem is that it does discount you, or does take away your ability to have certain jobs, have certain roles, have certain responsibilities. Because if you are a pedophile or have done some sort of sexual touching of minors, if you're a teacher who slept with a student, you should no longer be able to be a teacher. Work with kids. That doesn't mean you can't change your life and never do it again. It just means that it disqualifies you from doing this job. So, at the very least, there needs to be an investigation. At the very least. Because this lady got sexually assaulted. Is there anybody that doesn't believe that Dr. Ford got sexually assaulted? And I understand that so many people believe that this is a political hit job. But how did she go about it? She talked to her friends, didn't go to the media, tried to contact her congresswoman. And I don't understand why this is turned into a Democrat-Republican issue. Because there's so many times in our country that it is, oh no, this person's pro-life, this person's Democrat, this person's Republican, I'm not voting for him. I don't understand voting along party lines. It's not what I do. I've talked about it openly. I voted for Republicans. I voted for Democrats. I vote for whoever I believe serves the best interest of me, my family, and the community. Pretty much in that order. So why on earth, like, is this a partisan issue? Like, we have to get away from this being a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. This has to be about appointing people of high character to the court. And like it's just got to be about that, because there are horrendous Democrats. There are horrendous people who are Republicans, independents, libertarians, whatever. So why wouldn't we just vote for the best person? I mean, come on. And I would say, though, the way that that her testimony is going, I did have some thoughts about how it's set up. Because first and foremost, I find it interesting that the Republicans, which is a smart move for them optics wise, for them not to have all those Republican senators interviewing her. Like, that would be a bad move, because they messed up with Anita Hill when it came to Clarence Thomas's confirmation. They messed up. They looked like terrible. They looked absolutely horrendous, insensitive, and everything else. So it's smart that they had her do that. I mean, and the thing is that yes, there is a little bit of politics in play with this, because Dr. Ford's name got leaked. Like, she didn't bring herself forward. She was not trying to be publicly in the spotlight. Her name was leaked, likely by the Democrats. True. So there is a political element to this. And then there's the element of this sets a bad precedent. I've heard this so many times today, so many times over the last couple of days. This sets such a bad precedent. Women can just accuse men of anything. And okay, so here's truth for you. I'm a person who was accused of sexual assault in college, found out it was not true, was proven not to be true. So I understand the power of someone who's upset, hurt, or has some agenda, weaponizing an allegation. I am in that crowd. I 100% agree with that. That's why I say that people who make false allegations should be prosecuted, like, to the same extent that the person would have been if they had been convicted. Like, if you accuse somebody of rape and then it's found out that you're lying, your ass needs to go to jail. I'm in that crowd. So, but then I also understand and empathize with the fact that victims don't come forward for multiple reasons. One, and one of the biggest ones, is that people didn't used to believe them. Like, they didn't used to bring out, like, they would not do anything about it. We just saw this with Larry Nassar, who was taking advantage of Olympians, teenage girls, all of this stuff. They told people they didn't do anything. So I understand why victims did not come forward for so long. So all the people that are, oh, why did she wait till now? Well, there is a lot of reasons why. But I do think that this does set a precedent going forward about the expectations. I know it's wrong to put expectations on victims. However, there is an expectation now, I believe, that if you are sexually assaulted, that if something does happen, that you do have an obligation to speak up. Not just for your safety, but for the safety of others. I mean, like, you have to speak up. But then there has to be an element of, yes, this could be weaponized at the same time. She accused him of raping her. Someone said, or they used to blame victims for what happened. Absolutely. They definitely used to blame victims for what happened to them. You deserved it. You were wearing something too skimpy. No, you just can't rape people. Like, that's the bottom line. But does it set a bad precedent going forward as it relates to men, women at work? Because as a man, I have to be like completely honest and transparent about this. When it comes to work, when it comes to interactions with women in business settings, yes, am I a lot more cautious than I would have been? Absolutely, 100%. Am I afraid to talk to women? No. But do I think about certain things before I say them more? Absolutely, 100%. Someone said that she has a lot of holes in her story. No, not any more than you've seen Jeff Sessions misremember things or try to remember a story from years and years ago. President Trump, Obama, anybody that you know that's trying to remember details from 36 years ago that are minor details. Yes, they're gonna mess some of them up. That's just the truth. Like we can't expect this lady to be, that she's supposed to have a photographic memory, like she's, some superhero or something. But at the same time, her therapist note showed that the lady got sexually assaulted. There needs to be an investigation. I do believe, though, I wanted to speak more about what men say in private and what I feel and what I think. There are so many men who say kind of like, hey, yo, I'm being super careful. I don't even talk to women at work. I don't even play around like this. That's a swinging overreaction. Like, that's what naturally happens when people start getting fired, when people start getting, prosecuted for all these things. That's a natural overreaction. But the reality is it'll really tone back down, pare back down to like a normal, reasonable level. Like, it'll be like, oh, okay, I understand where the lines are. Because we can have a friend, you can have somebody you talk to at work, all of this stuff. But at the point in time that something makes someone uncomfortable, because there is no more powerful words in our country right now for a man, woman, child, or anybody to say than I feel uncomfortable. He or she made me feel uncomfortable. Those are the most powerful words in the country because there's no metric for being comfortable. Everybody's level is different. So it allows it to be used. It can be weaponized or it can just be the truth. Because the reality is that there's so many people who are too sensitive. I would agree. We are too sensitive as a society. But I believe that that's an overreaction to the ignoring of so many serious issues. I was texting with a friend yesterday who is a Ben Shapiro listening to guy, right? And I'll read you the exact text. I'm not going to name his name because he is a friend of mine. So I'm not going to, But this is just a text that, this is just an honest conversation that we had. He said, the point is that our country is not a racist, homophobic, misogynistic country. And that's all we ever talk about. And my response to that is, okay, have you seen the history of our country? Yes, the country is getting better. I 100% agree with that. I 100% believe that. But the country does have it. That's why there had to be a women's rights movement. That's why there had to be a civil rights movement. That's why there have had to be all these other type of freedoms fought for. And equality. Because the country has a history of this. That doesn't mean that America's not great. That doesn't mean that America is not the best country. Because I totally believe that there's nowhere else I would rather be. But you can simultaneously say that I love my country's great, but we got some problems that we need to fix. You can simultaneously say that. And that's why I get frustrated and irritated. I think so many do with the political things that are going on right now in our country. Because it is political extremism right now. It is, if you are and people confuse allies with friends. because the extremism goes to the fact of, all right, if I agree with when President Obama was in, if I agree with President Obama on this one issue, then I'm in his camp that I agree with him on everything. Or if I'm a person who agrees with President Trump on one issue, that I'm a racist, hater, all of this stuff. That doesn't mean that. Like, normal, sensible people have views that live on both sides. Like, I can be I'm a Christian man, believe what the book says, but at the same time, you know, I have some issues. I mean, like, so I'm naturally a conservative person, but politically, there are some things that I would be considered liberal about, even though I'm conservative on a lot of things. So people get confused. And I think that that's where most people lie and should lie, which is you should have some views on both sides. Because if you are afraid to criticize President Trump, President Obama, anybody, that is completely wrong. But real quick before I hop off about Kavanaugh, do you guys believe Dr. Ford? That's the first thing. Do you believe Dr. Ford? Because I think you would be hard pressed not to believe her at this point in time. I mean, the lady got sexually assaulted. Whether you believe Kavanaugh did it or not, that's a different story. But you have to believe that this lady got sexually assaulted. And there has to be another conservative, pro-life nominee that President Trump can put up right now. I know that that's going to be an unpopular opinion, because that doesn't mean that I am, you know, where I lean on all these things. It's just like there has to be somebody else at this point in time that they can put up, that he can put up to be nominated for the Supreme Court, that just doesn't so happen to hearing her circumstantial evidence, because these therapist notes, you have all this, like it's not coincidental. Like they couldn't have just found somebody who knew him from 30 years ago, who had therapist notes about rape. Like, all these things are way too convenient. That at a party that he was at, all of these things. So you have to find, because I understand it's a he said, she said situation. And I talked about the fact that I was accused of something that was not true while I was in college. Thank God there wasn't social media, because once you can't unring the bell. And once these allegations come out about somebody, it can destroy their life. It literally can. So I'm sensitive to that, and it's not fair and it's not right to those who have had these allegations weaponized against them. But at the same time, like, you have to trust and believe that this is like at the very least, you got to do an investigation, and probably smart money is on getting another nominee. Like, it would be easier to get another nominee who's not accused of sexual assault to put up for the Supreme Court, who's pro-life, and they'll get confirmed. Because this has turned into a bipartisan issue. A partisan issue, and it should not be, because it's the highest court in the land. They're going to start back in a little bit. Thank you guys for your time. If you guys have any comments, questions, anything, because I'll be back for a regular Unafraid show later on, send them to I'mMad@unafraidshow.com. Thanks. Appreciate it. Catch you guys later. Oh, the last thing I wanted to say was the scariest part of all this to me is we've seen these nut jobs interviewed on television talking about, oh, sexual assault's not that big of a deal. What man hasn't groped a woman? And this, listen, that is the most asinine statement there is. Oh yeah, what man hasn't groped a woman? Yes, a lot of men have done inappropriate things with women, but the point is, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. Just because slavery was okay, just because not hiring women was okay, just because sexual harassment at work was tolerated, that doesn't mean that it needs to stop. That it doesn't need to stop. So the boys will be boys. Who cares? No, because I have daughters. You guys have daughters, and you'd be pissed off about if a lot of things were done to your daughter that you've said done to other women. So we just have to stop it. We have to do something better. Like, that doesn't mean that all these things are prosecutable offenses or that everybody should be fired, because people grow and people change. However, sexual assault is one of those things that you shouldn't be on the Supreme Court. And at this point in time, they need some other, like, they just need to put up another nominee. All right, guys, peace out. I'm going to get back to the hearings in just a little bit. We'll catch you guys later on for the Normal Unafraid Show.